Hey y'all, John here, welcome back to another video, and in this video here today we're going to be talking about the 15 Pro Max. Hopefully this is a more drawn out review of basically my experiences. This is actually one day after the Apple September event, so the 16 and 16 Pro lineup technically was announced yesterday. Pre-orders will start this Friday, but I thought that it would be a good time to basically review the phone, talk about my experiences and what I think about it. So, I'm actually on the 18.1 developer beta. So I have the Apple Intelligence, I have the new, really nice Grammarly, the new Siri, stuff like that. I really do like those new features. My favorite feature as of right now is probably the transcriptions in voice memos. So I actually have a habit where I journal every day, and it takes time to type that out. So now I just use my capture button, not my capture button, getting too I definitely spend too much time on that. But the action button, there we go. I use the action button to start a voice memo. I talk into my phone, it transcribes it, and I just copy and paste that into Obsidian, and that is my journal entry for the day. So that's my favorite feature as of right now on the 18.1 beta, since we don't have Gen emoji or anything like that yet. As far as performance goes, this 15 Pro Max, again, I've always said the same thing. I don't play games on my phone. I don't do the AAA gaming stuff. I honestly use it for productivity. So your Apple Mail, going through like social media like Snapchat, Instagram, taking photos here and there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be somewhat intensive. Yeah, I don't even have iMovie or anything like that on here. I literally just use it as a phone. And then text messaging, stuff like that. So I don't really use the A17 Pro. I haven't really had that many opportunities to shoot ProRes log either. Now, since I've got the phone, since I got the phone back in November 2023, let me actually start the screen recording so you can see what my setup looks like. So let's see, we're gonna open this up here. We are on the 18.1 beta. So we're gonna go into my settings, and I'm gonna show you my battery health settings. So as you can see, I got this phone in November of 2023, and I'm already at 89%. I don't know if that's bad or not, but then if I scroll back, you'll see my usage. So this is what I'm looking at right now. I should probably turn off this sound recognition because I don't really find that useful. But as you can see, this is my graph. I don't know if these numbers are normal or not, but then again, I can't really talk too much because I am on a beta. This is literally where I'm at. So it's like, I mean, I will still say this, my S23 Ultra can last 2 days on battery. Like, there's a reason why I bought that phone last year before going overseas. As far as the modem goes, this still has, I think this technically has the same Qualcomm modem as my S23 Ultra, so I have not had any dropped cellular signal. The only thing I have issues with is GPS. So, but then again, in my car, I do have a MagSafe mount, and that has a super strong magnet. So I think that is probably the reason why when I drive out my garage in the morning, and also it's underground, so there's that to factor in. But basically, when I drive out, it doesn't know what direction I'm in, and it takes at least a good like 30 seconds to recalibrate, and it frustrates me. But yeah, other than that, cellular calls have been great. I have kind of weird signal in my area, so I usually try to limit it to LTE. I switched it back to 5G auto, just because again, it's like I don't really feel the best when my phone is always at like 1 bar on 5G. I feel like that probably drains my battery more than I think, or so that is another thing. Something I almost forgot to say. I am actually on an MVNO. So when I got this phone, I was using Xfinity Mobile, and then I moved. So I cut off my Xfinity service because I don't have Xfinity anymore. And something I really do value about the iPhones is that even if you lose service, as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can still make phone calls, and you can still through FaceTime audio, and you can still send text messages to other iPhones, and it'll maintain your phone number until your service comes back online. So something I've had with this specific provider is that sometimes the service will drop out because of a provisioning issue on their end, and it's like I'll still get my phone calls, my text messages, versus if I'm on a regular Android phone. I mean, technically nobody uses RCS in the US. Like, we have it, but people aren't really using it. But basically on another Android phone, if I was having service issues, I would lose all of those text messages and calls, versus on the iPhone, as long as they're calling through FaceTime audio, and it's pretty much guaranteed to go through iMessage if they have an iPhone, I always get those. So that's just another little perk of using Apple's closed ecosystem. Now, the camera. Honestly, I don't. I have 3 full frame cameras. As you know, I have the FX3, the A7 IV, and the A7C now. I don't know if I have the balls to use an iPhone on a paid shoot ever. I'm sure it's great, but I just, if I'm playing around, I'll do ProRes log. But as far as like using it in a real environment, the main thing is the battery, that I would say. But also, it's like if clients see you using an iPhone, they're gonna look at you sideways because they have an iPhone in their pocket. Why can't they do the entire thing? So I haven't really got a chance to use ProRes log. I've played around with it here and there. It does look nice, but I have 3 cameras for a reason. Like if I need to do anything when it comes to like paid work, I'm just gonna use my cameras first. Something that really kind of shocked me is the fact that we have things like name drop on the iPhone. So if you bring 2 iPhones together, you can actually share your contact card, and it will show your poster and share it to the other person using AirDrop and NFC. That is something that it technically does exist on Android with like Android Beam or if they renamed it to, but it's like it just makes things so seamless. It's also part of that it just works philosophy I've been bringing up. It's crazy how things just work. But we're gonna move on to the power user part of the review. I use my Mac to back up my iPhone because again, I like iCloud backups, but it's like I'm trying to limit how much control Apple has on me, so I want to be able to always leave. So I use iMazing, and of course iMazing is on my Mac, which is connected on 10 gigabit Ethernet, and then the Mac has an SSB share on the server. That basically connects to it. Basically, whenever I come home with my iPhone, it connects to Wi-Fi. The Mac sees it and it's like, "Hey, I want to back you up," and then I type in my password, and it backs up straight to the server. And from there, I can basically, with iMazing, I can open up my iCloud photos, I can open up my text messages, I can export them, I can see all the apps I have installed, the profiles I have installed, I can update my phone, I can basically take my phone, transfer all the data to a new phone without using iCloud at all. Super nice. I think I've talked about it in one of my previous videos. Highly recommend. One of my favorite apps and keeps my stress levels down. So if I do ever want to switch back to Android, I have the opportunity always to do so. Now, something I've talked about is Apple shortcuts. So I use this a lot. So I use this to basically only activate my always on screen when I'm charging. When I'm not charging, it turns off. When I get to work, it enables my VPN when it connects to the work Wi-Fi, just so it can stay connected to my internal services. I have a shortcut in the morning that runs whenever my alarm goes off. So it'll say, "Good morning, John." And you know what? I will give you a demo of what this does. So we're going to open up, let's see, let me start the screen recording. There it is. We're going to open up shortcuts, and we're going to start the good morning routine. So volume goes up.
Good morning, John. Today, the weather forecast is 72 degrees Fahrenheit and clear. It will take you 15 minutes to walk to work. Now, the daily news is next.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Capital One.
There you go, just like that. So it tells me the weather, how long it will take me to walk to work, and then plays the news right after my alarm goes off. Pretty slick. Of course, you'll barely be able to hear that because, again, I have the screen recording going as well. But it's these little integrations that kind of keep me stuck. It's like, of course, you can do this on Android with nodes and routines, but it's like, it's very limited and it can't dive into the apps. It's only system level stuff. So like if you want to change your, have your ringtone like go to vibrate or something when you hit a location, you can do that. I think I even have an automation set up on my iPhone where it's like, as soon as I get to a certain location, it sends out a text message like, "Hey, I'm here. Can you come outside?" I'm like, you can't really do that on Android unless you use Tasker, but Tasker is like 10 times more complicated. And again, it's limited to which apps it can integrate with. Something I will still always complain about on the iPhone is the fact Siri could always be 10 times better. Of course, on iOS 18.1, it's maybe a little bit better. I don't know, it's that big of a difference. It'll probably get better in the later developer betas as we get closer to launch. But there are times, especially on the HomePods, I'm like, this thing is kind of useless. But it does the job. It's better than Bixby on the Galaxy, so I just go with it. I know this 15 Pro Max, I think technically has a Matter radio. I don't really care about that because I have the HomePod Mini and I have a small apartment, so I don't really have to worry about going out of range on Matter. And I think I only have 3 or 4 Matter devices here, so not really a big concern for me. Another thing on my list, this is kind of sideways, outside of the scope of the review, but I have hue lights, and for some reason my HomePod always has issues with the dropped connection, even though my HomePod is on. So my HomePod's on a wireless connection. Then we have the Hue which is on a wire connection, but it's on a different VLAN. But I have it set up so it can send, what's it called? Call it bonjour for multicast. So you can send multicast across the different VLANs, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if I use Home Assistant on in a VM on Proxmox, I'm able to use Home Assistant as my HomeKit bridge, and I can do it that way. It's just stress. I'm gonna make another video on basically I think it's a V2 HomeKit bridge, V2 Philips Hue bridge. I don't like this as much anymore because I feel like Philips is pushing me to get more and more like internet heavy updates, and it doesn't. Why is my Hue bridge needs to be on the internet? So I use Home Assistant to control it, and I also have a PoE injector. So basically I have the Unify 16 port switch, and then not 16, is 24 port. Anyways, PoE port, PoE switch, PoE into an injector, and it splits between the barrel plug and a Ethernet connection. So it's super nice, and I can basically be like, hey, you're misbehaving, I'm gonna reboot you, I don't have to be home. I can just go in my Unify app, tap it, and then reboots the entire device. So it's really nice. But yeah, smart home stuff, always good on iOS for the most part, other than the HomePods, which are kind of sketchy. Thought about switching over to Matter bulbs, but I want to make sure I give this a proper try before I do that. Yeah, home app, always amazing. I still use Sonos for my home audio because I just feel like it's more reliable compared to using, I mean, AirPlay is nice, but when it comes to like using Spotify, the HomePods don't really like it. So, because they want you to use Apple Music, of course. Let's see what the next thing on my list is. We're gonna start basically finalizing this review out. Something I will always wish for on the iPhones is the fact that on my Android phone, I have a personal and a work side. I want to be able to have two of the same apps. So let's say I have a work Instagram and a personal Instagram. I want to be able to have two separate apps without having all of those in the same app. I want to have two separate photo galleries for work and personal, if possible. I want to be able to have basically my Google accounts be separated on different Safari apps, if possible. Like I want to be able to have a work app drawer and a personal app drawer. Can I do that on iOS? No. That is the reason why I'm using my S23 Ultra as my primary work phone. So, but other than that, iOS, always great, fun experience. I just feel like I'm not that productive on it. It's kind of rough. It could be so much better, but that's the reason. There's a reason why Android exists. Good. More competition is always good. You never know what you need. So, I hope you enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for the S23 Ultra review. I will be ordering a 16 Pro Max soon, so I might be talking about that in the future. But yeah, stay tuned for more content, and I hope you enjoyed this one.